Your Honor, he would still like to go through with the hearing.
All right. Mr. Siller, are you ready to go forth on this?
We are ready, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, I would call Mr. Casey, Brandon Casey, from the Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Sir, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Thank you. State your name, please.
Brandon Casey.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Siller.
And Mr.
You can
Casey,
have a seat.
Mr. Casey, you're a supervision agent at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And when did you start there?
Oh gosh, 2019.
2019. All right. And as the supervision agent, what are your general duties?
My general duties are to place people on scram tethers, sober links, and GPS, supervise them under pretrial services and probation.
And you've been doing that since 2019?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Martell Williams?
Yes.
And is Martell Williams someone that you supervise?
Yes.
When did you begin supervising Martell Williams?
His enrollment date was November 1st of 2023.
And at some point, you became aware of Mr. Williams was placed on a scram tether. Is that right?
Yes.
And was that on February 7th?
Yes.
February 7th of 2024?
Yes.
After February 7th of 2024, did you become aware of a violation of that scram tether?
Yes.
And what was the date of the first violation?
I received the first violation on February 15th, but it was dated for February 10th and 11th.
And so you said you received it on the 15th. Why is that? When the violation was earlier, why did you not receive it at that earlier date?
Typically when there's a pending result, AMS has to figure out whether it's a confirmed event or not. And then once it's confirmed, they forward me the non-compliance report.
Okay. And there was a second violation. Is that right, of the scram tether?
Yes.
And what date was that second violation?
I received that second violation, I believe, on February 26th, but it was dated for the 16th and 17th of February.
Okay. And once again, that's for the same reason that you were notified of it later, or you had to download the information?
Yeah, there was also a point where he had went quite a few days, several days, I believe, until he came in for his next download. That's why it took so long.
Did you have any conversations with Mr. Williams regarding these violations?
Yeah, when we have the non-compliance reports, we typically call the clients, let them know what's going on. He said he was concerned about some of his hygiene products.
Okay. And what do you do with that information? You then forward that information to the court, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for Mr. Casey. The defense counsel may have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Casey, you did testify that you started his supervision November 1st of 2023,
Yes.
and he was at first placed on a sober link tether, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Did he ever receive any positive tests while on that sober link tether?
No positive tests, no, just missed or late tests.
And on February 7th, 2024, he was placed on the scram tether.
Yes.
Okay. On February 15th, you got the notification that there was a missed test or a positive test for February 10th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, usually it is your practice that you guys would call the client and inform them that they can take a urine test to double check if there is alcohol in the system. Is that correct?
If it's within the 3-day period for the ETG, yes, that's correct.
And this was outside the 3-day period, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So he was unable to take the urine test?
Correct.
Okay. And then the February 17th event, similar, you weren't aware of this until February 26th. Is that correct?
Yes,
So again, Mr. Williams did not have the opportunity to take the urine test. Is that correct?
yes.
And do you think that the urine tests are more accurate than the scram tethers?
I don't believe so.
Is there ever a time when a scram tether would come up positive and then a urine test would come back as negative?
I haven't experienced that yet in the past, no.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any other follow-up, Mr. Siller?
Just Mr. Casey, can you see whether Mr. Williams is in the courtroom or not? Are you able to tell that?
Yeah, I can see him.
Can you identify him for the court?
I believe he's wearing a black hoodie. And I want to say his shirt is purple, but I can.
All right, without objection, record will reflect identification of Mr. Williams.
Thank you. No further questions for Mr. Casey.
All right, thank you. Do you have another witness?
We do, Your Honor. I have John Hayes from Judicial Services Group.
All right, sir, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And you'll need to unmute.
I do, Your Honor.
All right, very good. State your name for the record, please.
John Hayes.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Siller.
Mr. Hayes, you're with JSG, is that right?
Correct.
And is that Judicial Services Group?
Yes.
And that does monitoring for persons under the order of the court, is that right?
Correct.
And included in that monitoring is scram tether monitoring, is that right?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the case involving Martell Williams?
I am.
Mr. Williams had at least 2 positive scram teller violations, is that right?
Yes.
How long have you been with JSG?
Approximately 11 years.
And during that time, you're aware of studies involving ways to detect external alcohol, the presence of external alcohol, is that right?
Correct. In regards to the scram in my history, I have attended numerous trainings. I've lectured all across the country for different agencies. I've testified in over 450 cases, been entered as an expert in 32 cases regarding the device. I've done quite a bit of research, attended conferences in this exact regard, so yes.
You said you've been qualified as an expert in courts.
Correct. 32 times, including in Washtenaw County, both district and circuit courts.
Okay. Do you have any educational background that would be relevant to this?
Education-wise, as far as schooling, no. However, I've attended multiple trainings, the most recent being Indiana University Borkenstein course on alcohol, which is over 100 of the top toxicologists in the world. So education-wise, no. Continuous training, yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to qualify Mr. Hayes as an expert in the scram tether, use of the scram tether.
Any objection or voir dire?
No objection.
You're so qualified.
Mr. Hayes, tell us about some of the studies that you've been involved personally regarding personal hygiene products that may contain alcohol and how that may affect a scram tether.
There's quite a few. Obviously, I was present earlier when the concept of hair products, conditioner, shampoo, I believe hair wax had been brought up. The most applicable study is one that was presented during COVID regarding ethanol-based products, specifically hand sanitizer. What they were focusing on is if you are applying hand sanitizer in excessive amounts, how quickly your body could absorb that alcohol and what it would do similar to consuming alcohol. The conclusion of that report is someone who applies hand sanitizer, which is a very high level of ethanol, every 30 minutes for 24 hours straight. So 48 applications, the body would absorb approximately 0.2 grams of alcohol. It's important to note that a standard drink has 14 grams of alcohol. So Bud Light has 14 grams. Doing the application, it's 0.2 grams, far less than 1% of a standard drink. So any product similar to that, if it's stated that it would be absorbed through the skin, it's extremely improbable to reach a very low level, reach a 0.03 or higher.
So what you're telling the court is that on a standard one can of beer, like such as Bud Light, would have 7 times the amount of alcohol than the lotion?
Not 17. You're talking, math is not my specialty. I'd say 80 to 90 times more.
Okay.
But and it's also important. I've worn the device over 100 times. I've used products that contain alcohol, lotions, hand sanitizers, not just on my body, but directly on the bracelet. And it's important to note, even when you do that, the device knows, one, that it's an external alcohol, and two, as soon as that product evaporates, if you put hand sanitizer on your hand, it dries off within minutes. It's not going to continue to stay there, let alone absorb and eliminate, similar to what we know alcohol does with the body.
You said that hand sanitizer has a higher concentration of alcohol than a hair product. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you know of any specific studies either you've done or that you've heard about or read about regarding hair products as opposed to lotion, hand lotion?
No, I have not. Hair products in particular, no.
And what is now a lotion would have alcohol that's applied onto the skin itself. What's the significance of that as opposed to how the scram tether is designed to detect the ingestion of alcohol?
So the scram device knows the difference between consumed alcohol and environmental alcohol. The way it does that is prior to testing the sample taken from the client, it takes a sample from the environment. If it's something, we have people who work in bars, we have people who work in bakeries who wear the scram without incident because we can see that the alcohol we're seeing is coming from the environment. One of the criteria that we use to identify confirmed consumption is that the event must pass the environmental contaminant test, which tells us if there's alcohol present, it's coming from the sample from the client and not the environment. And I did look back over the entire duration that Mr. Williams has been on scram, which as of today has been 64 days. There were 0 issues on any other day with the exception of these 2 dates.
You're familiar with the transdermal alcohol consumption reading of Mr. Williams's 2 violations, is that right?
I am.
And do you have that information in front of you?
I do.
On the violation of February 11th, 2024, he had a peak transdermal alcohol concentration of 0.39%. Is that right?
0.039, yes.
0.039. All right. I wrote that down incorrectly. You are correct. I'm incorrect. Are you able to give the court any relevant information about how would that alcohol concentration level be achieved through the use of an external product of lotion, of hand lotion, which you seem to be more familiar with?
Yeah, hand lotion or any external product used on the skin or around the device to simulate what we're looking at on a confirmed consumption event. Let's say that alcohol is in the lotion. In order to recreate the graph and the data that we have, you would have to gradually increase the usage every half hour of that lotion and reapply it. When you put lotion on your hands, it dries out within a couple minutes. You'd have to continuously apply it to the area or to your skin, and then gradually decrease it in a way that mirrors what we know the body does with alcohol. It gradually absorbs alcohol and then gradually decreases it. So in a case like this, it begins at 6:40 p.m. and doesn't reach zero again until 6:09 p.m. the next day. For 24 hours, you would have to increase it for approximately 8 to 10 hours, and then gradually decrease it for the next 16 hours. It's not one application and your body's absorbing and eliminating it. It's continuous use.
So what you're saying is using an external product, like lotion, you would have to use the product for perhaps 24 hours or more to achieve these types of results?
You'd have to continually apply it. One of the studies that I did was for colognes and aerosol sprays. And without reapplying it continuously, the next test would read a result of 0 because it's no longer present.
And that's regarding the scram tether violation on February 11th. Would that same analysis be consistent with the scram tether violation of February 17th?
Yes.
And it's a similar number. It's 0.033 was the peak transdermal alcohol concentration. Is that right?
Correct.
And to achieve that peak transdermal alcohol concentration, he'd have to have used an external product for, perhaps 24 hours, 24 hours or so. Is that right?
This one's a little bit shorter. It begins on February 16th at 10:08 p.m. and returns back to 0 at 2:57 p.m. on the 17th. So a shorter duration. However, yes, but it's also important to note the theory of applying a lotion or anything is categorically false. I've tried to recreate it myself dozens of times and never been able to even closely do that. This is definitely a confirmed consumption event on both cases.
I don't have any further questions for Mr. Hayes. I'm sure the defense counsel will have a question or more.
Ms. Coombs, cross-examination.
Mr. Hayes, you testify that you do work for Scram Tether, correct?
We provide scram tethers. I do not work for them directly.
Okay. All right. Would you agree that you have an interest in making sure these tethers do work correctly?
Somewhat.
Okay. And you previously testified that you have testified in other court cases over 450 times. Is that correct?
Correct.
You have testified over 450 times in other cases?
Yes, in my career over 450 times.
And how many times have you tested on behalf of prosecution?
I'd say the majority of them.
Okay. What is the error margin for Scram Tethers?
I'm not aware of that, but if it's a singular result, I believe it's somewhere south of 3%, but in totality, multiple events, they found 0 false positives because you're not just reviewing one single point, you're reviewing dozens and dozens of test results to confirm a consumption event.
Okay. And what is the average elimination rate per hour for ethyl alcohol?
There is no average. There are 4 different settings or 4 different categories that have been identified on breath alcohol. However, there's never been a summary of transdermal alcohol, as it is generally much slower than what breath alcohol is.
Okay. And you previously testified that there are no studies in regards to hair products and how they could affect a positive read on a Scram Tether. Is that correct?
I didn't say there isn't any. I'm just not aware of any.
Okay. On February 11th, 2024, there was a peak of 0.039 at 3:52 a.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then there's a 0 that was established at 6:09 p.m. on February 11th. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And that's more than 14 hours later.
Yes,
Now the elimination rate here is 0.003. Would that fall within the elimination rate of other studies that you're aware of?
yes. So the criteria that we use to identify consumption, one of the criteria is that the elimination must be less than 0.035 per hour, which is what science tells us that the body can eliminate. So it easily meets that criteria.
Okay, and the 0.003 for the elimination rate, what would cause that to be so low?
I wouldn't consider that so low on transdermal. Again, it's different than breath. Breath is what most people are aware of, simply because people get arrested on a drinking and driving. They see what the elimination rate is. Transdermal alcohol is taking into account how the body processes that alcohol, how it's metabolized by the liver and then excreted through your skin through insensible perspiration. So it's non-remarkable, a very non-remarkable number when I'm looking at it.
Okay, but you did say that there's no studies in regards to the transdermal elimination rate, correct?
Not that I'm aware of as far as categorizing fast elimination versus something similar to what we see on breath.
Okay, and then February 17th at 2:13 a.m., there is a peak of 0.033 that is established. Is that correct?
Yes,
The baseline of 0 was not established again until 2:57 p.m. on February 17th. Is that correct?
correct.
And that's over a 12-hour gap. The-
Yes,
Okay, and the elimination rate there was also 0.003. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay. Since February 17th, there has been no further non-compliance events. Is that correct?
Correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Stiller?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
May these witnesses be excused.
People have no
Yes, Your
objection.
Honor. Sorry.
All right. You folks can remain or you're free to leave. Any other witnesses for the people?
None, Your Honor.
All right. Any witnesses for the defense?
None, Your Honor.
So, Your Honor, just
Okay.
briefly, I think Mr. Hayes really summed up. Mr. Hayes really summed up this case. You know, the difference, the amount of lotion or other external product that someone would have to use on their body, for a 10, 15, 20, more than 20-hour period to achieve these type of levels is not believable in this case. And we've heard nothing from the defendant regarding how long he may have used a hair product. We haven't even heard from the defendant to claim to use this hair product at all. So the only information before the court is that he's had a violation and that Mr. Casey noted, and then Mr. Hayes has confirmed as the representative of JSG. So the only information before the court is that he's in violation.
Your Honor, I would like to point out that he never had a positive test on the SoberLink tether. He did not know or was unaware that he had tested positive on the Scram tether. So he was unable to pay the $30 for the urine test, but had he had known, he would have done that. The elimination here was 0.003. And there's been no violation since he has switched the products. So for those reasons, we'd ask that you find him not in violation.
How am I going to find him not in violation? I have nothing on the other side. I have nothing on your side. Nothing. At all. That was the question. I don't even know how I do that.
Well, Your Honor, we could have Mr. Williams testify.
Well, counsel, it was your request for the hearing. I asked whether or not you had any witnesses, and you had no witnesses. Even at this point, I don't even know what the defendant's claiming he used to cause this problem, or what he's saying was a problem. But I'm going to make the finding based upon what I have in front of me. Anything else you want to argue?
I believe at the March 6th hearing, he did state at that time that it was caused from hair products, Your Honor.
Under oath?
It
No.
was in front of the court.
Was it under oath?
No.
Exactly. Anything further?
Nothing from the people.
Well, based upon the information that's before the court at this hearing, the only thing that I have before it's been established, I don't even know, even if I were to make an assumption, I don't think I can, that there was some other product that supposedly caused this. The only testimony that I have is that it was established that this was a drinking event. It was further established, I guess, in ultimate respect to the negative by the people that there aren't products that their witnesses would be aware of, and their expert would be aware of that would cause this type of reading. And that there is nothing has been brought before this court that indicates that this is any type of circumstance on these two occasions that's an abnormality. So based upon the evidence before the court, taking into account everything that was being testified to, the court would find that the defendant has violated the condition of his bond, and also has violated specifically on February 11th and on February 16, 16, 17. Either by consuming and or using alcohol in some fashion. So, violations are. Thank you.
Thank you.
And having found the violations, but also I got another problem. He didn't complete his alcohol screening and assessment.
Yes, Your Honor. He had that scheduled, but he ended up missing the appointment because he started a new job. He is able to reschedule that though.
It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. Mr. Allen. Got to sentence him on the violation. He hasn't done his alcohol screening and assessment. Anything you want to say before I sentence him on the violations?
Your Honor, he hasn't had any other positive violations since this February 16th event. He has been continuously in contact with me, trying to get everything done inside the case. I understand he didn't complete this. We did have talk about it numerous times.
It's only on Monday, and that's when I had. To this point, right?
What did you say?
They said they only do the assessments on Mondays, and I had been at orientations and started. I finally got a job, and then I had started on Monday.
And it is re-referred to Von Swartz for an alcohol screening and assessment. He is to pay a $75 referral fee. I'll adjourn his sentence to May 8th, 2024 at 9 a.m. After conducting the hearing, finding the violations, defendant on those violations is sentenced to 30 days, Washtenaw County Jail. Defendant's remanded.